11 car brands are retreating from America right now, and most of them are not even making headlines about it. One pulled its entire model lineup and left dealerships sitting empty for over a year. Another sold 15 cars in a single month across the whole country and is still pretending it has a strategy. I am going to walk you through all 11, show you the real numbers behind each one, and tell you what it actually means if you own one of these vehicles right now. Because what is happening to these brands does not stay at the dealership, it follows you home. Make sure you subscribe, because this is the kind of breakdown that will change how you see every car brand and dealership for the rest of your life. Number 11. Mitsubishi sold 94,754 vehicles in America for all of 2025. That sounds like a real number until you realize a single model, the GMC Yukon, moved 93,000 on its own. One SUV nearly outsold everything Mitsubishi makes combined. And the dealer numbers are even uglier. Average profit margins collapsed from 2.2% in 2023 to 0.92% in 2024. That is not a margin. That is a rounding error. In the Midwest, 4 out of 15 Mitsubishi stores closed within 12 months. One dealer told Automotive News he was losing $80,000 a month. A Mitsubishi dealer in suburban Indianapolis dropped Outlander prices $9,000 below sticker. Eclipse Crosses $8,000 off. Foot traffic stayed flat. His lot guy, a kid who had been washing cars there since high school, got laid off 2 weeks before his wedding. That is what a brand collapse looks like at street level. The Korean brands murdered whatever value proposition Mitsubishi had left. When a buyer can get a Tucson or a Sportage with a 10-year warranty for the same money, Mitsubishi has nothing to say back. The company killed the Mirage after 2024, pulling the last vehicle in America with a transaction price under $20,000. And the response was to raise the Outlander's price by $1,250. I am not a business professor, but if your cheapest car just died, raising prices on everything else is not the move. That is like losing your best player and then raising ticket prices. Mitsubishi says it has a turnaround plan. 3 new US models coming. Dealers were not impressed. You cannot fix a decade of neglect with a product roadmap and a rebranded Nissan. Number 10. Fiat sold 1,321 vehicles in America for all of 2025. Let me say that again. 1,300 cars for the entire year, across the entire country. In January of 2026, that number dropped to 15. 15 vehicles. That is not a car company. That is a hobby. The entire brand now runs on a single product, the 500e, a tiny electric city car with 149 miles of range and a starting price of $35,700. For comparison, the Chevy Equinox EV offers 300 miles of range for about the same price. Tesla's Model 3 gives you 270-plus miles. The Fiat gives you a cute design and a prayer that you never need to drive farther than your grocery store. A Fiat dealer in the Northeast still had 2024 models on the lot in early 2026, collecting dust and floor plan interest. When the federal EV tax credit disappeared in September 2025, sales fell off a cliff because the credit was the only thing making the math work. Even Fiat's own website admits the car is only available in limited quantities in select regions. That is not a sales strategy. That is a garage sale. Meanwhile, a discontinued Fiat, the 500X crossover, outsold the 500e in the first quarter of 2026. A dead car is beating the one live car this brand makes. Stellantis CEO Antonio Filosa has publicly identified Fiat as one of the brands most exposed to a rethink of its American presence. That is corporate language for, "We are measuring the coffin." And if 1,300 annual sales sounds like rock bottom, the next brand on this list proves that even rock bottom has a basement. But Fiat's numbers look almost reasonable compared to what tariffs just did to the next brand on this list. Number 9. Volkswagen's US profit margins dropped 67% in 2025. Not sales, profit. They still moved cars, they just stopped making money doing it. The 25% tariff on imported vehicles slammed VW harder than almost any other brand, because most of their American lineup still ships in from Europe and Mexico. The company reported a €1.3 billion loss from tariffs alone in the first 6 months of 2025. For the full year, global operating profit fell over 50%. US deliveries dropped 16%, and the response from Volkswagen was not to lower prices, it was to raise them. Twice, in 6 months. A VW dealer outside of Baltimore watched his Tiguan inventory sit for months after the price bumps landed. Customers who had been cross-shopping a Tiguan and a RAV4 suddenly saw a $5,000 gap where there used to be $1,500. They bought the Toyota. Every single time. The ID.4 electric crossover was supposed to be VW's American reset. Instead, it became a poster child for how tariffs kill momentum. With no federal EV credit and a tariff-inflated sticker, the value equation collapsed overnight. Volkswagen CEO Oliver Blume acknowledged 2025 was, in his words, really challenging. That is a strange way to describe watching your most important export market go up in smoke. And honestly, I think Volkswagen brought some of this on themselves. They spent years promising to build more cars in America and then kept shipping them from Wolfsburg and Puebla instead. When the tariff wall went up, they had no escape route. That is like parking your car next to a fire hydrant and then complaining about the ticket. Number 8. Alfa Romeo's US sales dropped 30% through the first 3 quarters of 2025. And that is not 30% off a strong number. That is 30% off a number that was already embarrassing. The brand sold fewer vehicles in America in 2025 than a mid-tier Porsche dealership moves in a year. Stellantis hired McKinsey, one of the biggest consulting firms in the world, to assess the future of both Alfa Romeo and its sister brand, Maserati. When a parent company brings in McKinsey, that is not a strategy session. That is triage. You do not hire a $50,000 a week consulting firm to tell you things are going well. An Alfa Romeo store on a main boulevard in San Jose shut down service appointments one day and locked the doors within a week. This was not some tiny independent. This was part of one of the largest dealer groups in the country. Stores in Westlake Village, Santa Barbara, and Sacramento all went dark in the same 12-month window. Owners on enthusiast forums described Northern California's Alfa network as gutted. One dealer reportedly had 6 vehicles on the entire lot, most of them 2 model years old. A mechanic at the San Jose store who specialized in Alfa diagnostics spent 3 weeks applying to other shops before landing a job at an independent European garage 30 miles from his house. He took a pay cut. His commute doubled. That is the cost of a brand contraction at the human level. And here is what hurts most about this one. The cars are genuinely good. The Giulia is one of the best sedans you can buy for the money. The Stelvio is legitimately fun to drive. But fun does not matter when the nearest authorized mechanic is an hour away and your check engine light has been on since Tuesday. Alfa Romeo has a soul. It just does not have a service network. And without the second one, the first one is worthless in the American market. 15% of Alfa Romeo's global sales come from America, the world's second biggest car market. And that 15% is shrinking every quarter. And if Alfa's slide worries you, wait until you see what happened to the brand that was supposed to be Japan's answer to BMW. Because this next one is not just losing customers, it is losing its identity.
Number 7. Nissan posted a $547 million quarterly loss in the first quarter of 2025. U.S. sales fell nearly 12% year-over-year, and 38% of Nissan's American dealerships, more than a third of the entire network, were operating at a net loss through 2024. Average dealer profit margins went from 3.2% to barely 1% in a single year. A Nissan dealership in Northern California that had been open since 1997 closed on a Friday in July 2025. 55 employees walked out of a building they had worked in for years. Some of them had been there since the store opened. The receptionist at the front desk had watched customers' kids grow up, graduate college, come back and buy their own Pathfinders. All gone on a single Friday afternoon. Another Nissan store on a main boulevard in a Bay Area suburb closed the same day. The region lost 4 Nissan rooftops in 7 months.
And the national picture is worse than the Bay Area suggests. Nissan closed nearly 100 dealerships across the US and Canada as the company consolidated operations and tried to stop the bleeding. A Nissan executive reportedly told media the company had 12 to 14 months to survive. That quote made headlines. The dealerships closing quietly across America suggest it was not an exaggeration. Nissan missed the hybrid wave entirely. While Toyota sold RAV4 hybrids faster than dealers could stock them, Nissan was still pushing the Rogue with a conventional powertrain into a market that had moved on. The Altima and Pathfinder both underperformed. The brand's US market share shrank to 4.2% by the end of 2024 before barely crawling back above 5%. Meanwhile, Hyundai and Kia ate Nissan's lunch in every segment they compete in. Better warranty, fresher designs, more technology, similar price. A Nissan dealer in suburban Atlanta told his staff in a Monday morning meeting that he did not know if the store would be open in 6 months. He asked them to sell harder. They asked him to give them a product worth selling. Nobody was wrong in that room. That is the tragedy of Nissan right now. The dealers are not the problem. The salespeople are not the problem. The mechanics are not the problem. The problem is a corporate office in Yokohama that spent a decade watching Toyota and Hyundai innovate while Nissan ran the same playbook with older equipment. Nissan's leadership promised a turnaround plan called the ARC. Dealers were not impressed. You do not fix a decade of stale products with a PowerPoint presentation and a motivational slogan. You fix it with cars people actually want to buy. And the fact that a Nissan executive used the phrase 12 to 14 months to survive about his own company tells you everything about where this brand stands right now.
Number 6. Infiniti, Nissan's luxury brand, averaged 24 new car sales per month per dealership across its 197 American locations in 2024. 24. That is less than 1 car a day. A good taco truck does more transactions than that. And the trend is devastating. Infiniti sold nearly 150,000 vehicles in America back in 2018. By 2025, it was pacing toward roughly 50,000. That is a 2/3 collapse in 7 years. Some dealers reported annual losses between $600,000 and $900,000. Others lost over $2 million. To put that volume in perspective, the Genesis brand, Hyundai's luxury spin-off that did not even exist a decade ago, sold over 70,000 vehicles in the US last year, an 8% increase. While Infiniti was bleeding out, a brand that barely existed was lapping it. The brand's response was to start merging Infiniti showrooms into existing Nissan dealerships. Shared buildings, shared back offices, separate entrances and waiting rooms to maintain the illusion of a luxury experience. If that sounds like getting demoted from your own office to a shared desk in the break room, that is because it basically is. An Infiniti dealer in suburban Cincinnati who had spent hundreds of thousands remodeling his showroom to meet the brand's luxury standards watched his investment evaporate. Premium materials, delivery bays, a lounge area with Italian furniture, all of it demanded by Infiniti corporate just a few years earlier. All of it useless now. His service writer, a woman who had been with the store for 11 years, got transferred to the Nissan side of the building and took a pay cut. That is how a luxury brand treats the people who believed in it. The QX50 and QX55 are both getting killed after the 2025 model year, which shrinks an already thin lineup even further. The only model generating any real volume is the QX60, which accounts for more than half of total sales. That is an entire luxury brand leaning on one mid-size SUV and hoping it does not sneeze. Dealership valuation firms now put Infiniti's blue sky value among the lowest of any luxury franchise in the country. Nobody dreams about owning an Infiniti. Nobody sees one in a parking lot and thinks, that guy figured it out. It has become the invisible brand in a segment where visibility is the only thing that matters. But this next one makes Infiniti look stable by comparison. Because this brand did not just slow down. It pressed pause on its entire existence.
Number 5. Jaguar stopped selling new cars in America. Not slowed down, stopped. The company discontinued every vehicle in its lineup between 2024 and early 2025. The F-Type, the XF, the E-Pace, the F-Pace, the I-Pace, all gone. Every model. The plan, according to Jaguar, is to relaunch as an ultra-luxury all-electric brand targeting buyers who spend $300,000 on a car. The first new model will not arrive until 2026 at the earliest, maybe later. That means Jaguar dealers have been sitting with empty showrooms for over a year. No new inventory, no product to sell, just Land Rover sales keeping the lights on and a corporate promise that something electric and very expensive is on its way eventually. Over 100 Jaguar dealerships in the US opted out of the electric transition entirely rather than invest in the required infrastructure. That is not a handful of skeptics. That is a mass exit from a brand that has been selling cars in America since the 1950s. In Europe, during April 2025, Jaguar registered 49 vehicles in the entire continent. 49 in a month. Globally, annual sales fell 85% from 2018 levels. Those are not decline numbers. Those are disappearance numbers. A Jaguar dealer in a wealthy Connecticut suburb told his service team in November that the brand was done for the foreseeable future. His lead technician, a guy who had spent 15 years learning Jaguar electrical systems and diagnostic software, was told his skills were no longer needed at that location. He is now working on Land Rovers and wondering if the certification he spent years earning will ever matter again. Customers who bought certified pre-owned Jaguars in 2023 are now realizing that finding a trained technician within driving distance is becoming a genuine problem. Insurance companies are raising premiums on Jaguar models because the repair network is shrinking faster than the claims data can adjust. And here is the part nobody talks about. When a brand stops selling new cars, there is no floor under used values. New car sales create the benchmark that the used market prices against. Without that benchmark, every Jaguar on the second-hand market is just guessing at its own worth. If you own a Jaguar in America right now, you own a car from a brand that currently sells 0 new vehicles in your country. Every month that goes by without a replacement product on the lot, the used market adjusts. And it does not adjust upward. Number 4. BMW lost an estimated 1.4 billion euros to tariffs in 2025. Let me be real. BMW is not leaving America. BMW is not going bankrupt. But what is happening to BMW in this country right now is a slow retreat disguised as a price increase. The 25% tariff on European imports hit BMW like a wall. Even though their Spartanburg, South Carolina plant builds X models for the US market, the high-margin German-built sedans and coupes, the 3 Series, the 5 Series, the M cars, all ship in from overseas and take the full tariff hit. BMW's response was to raise prices across the lineup, twice in 6 months for 2026 models. Destination fees jumped to $1,550 on some models. MSRPs climbed anywhere from $400 to $1,500 depending on the car. A BMW dealer in the suburbs of Dallas told his sales team in December to stop quoting monthly payments on imported models because the numbers were scaring people off before they even sat down. Customers who, 2 years ago, were cross-shopping a 3 Series with a Genesis G70 are now looking at a $6,000 to $8,000 gap, and the Genesis wins that fight every time on value. Lease deals, which used to be BMW's secret weapon for conquest buyers, have gotten noticeably worse. The sweet spot where BMW's residual values and money factors made a 340i affordable to a mid-level manager is gone. It has been replaced by a payment that looks like a mortgage. BMW still makes some of the best driving machines on the planet. That has not changed. What changed is that the price of entry now pushes working Americans out of the showroom entirely. And when new prices go up, lease returns flood the used market because nobody wants to buy out a vehicle at an inflated residual. That wave of off-lease BMWs drives down the value of every pre-owned 3 Series and 5 Series in the country. The guy who bought one in 2023, thinking he would trade it in at 60% of sticker, is about to find out the market has a different number in mind. BMW was America's biggest auto exporter in 2025 by value, shipping $9 billion worth of vehicles from South Carolina to the world. The irony of a brand that exports more than it imports getting hammered by import tariffs is not lost on the dealers who have to explain the new stickers to customers who remember what a 3 Series cost 2 years ago. And if BMW is retreating upmarket by force, this next brand is collapsing from a height it was never qualified to stand on.
Number 3. Maserati sold 7,900 vehicles globally in 2025. Globally. Not in America, worldwide. That is the lowest number since 2012. Sales dropped 30% from the year before, which was already down 57% from the year before that. In 2017, Maserati moved over 51,000 cars. In 8 years, they lost 85% of their volume. Think about what that curve looks like. That is not a dip. That is a cliff. Ferrari, a brand that intentionally limits production to keep exclusivity, sold nearly twice as many cars as Maserati last year. Lamborghini set an all-time record with over 10,700 deliveries. And Maserati, a name that used to mean something on the streets of Miami and Manhattan, quietly became a punchline. Stellantis reported a $26.3 billion net loss for 2025. When their CEO, Antonio Filosa, was asked at the earnings call whether Maserati was being sold, he did not say no. He said wait for the investor day in May. That is not reassurance. That is a delay tactic. Stellantis hired McKinsey months earlier to assess Maserati and Alfa Romeo. When companies hire McKinsey, it is usually to give them cover for a decision they have already made. That is not cynicism. That is a pattern. A Maserati dealer outside of Phoenix had a showroom full of Grecales that nobody wanted. The compact SUV was supposed to save the brand, replacing the old Ghibli sedan as a volume product. It launched, it flopped, and sales fell 58% in a single year. Meanwhile, Hertz, the rental car company, started dumping used Maseratis at Volkswagen prices. Think about what that does to a luxury brand's image. When a rental fleet company is selling your car for 40 grand, nobody is walking into a dealership to pay 80. The former Stellantis CEO, Carlos Tavares, blamed marketing before he resigned. He said the cars were fine, the storytelling was wrong. Maybe. But when your brand is getting outsold by a company that literally limits how many cars it makes, the problem is not the story. It is the product sitting on the lot that nobody is willing to pay full price for. Number 2. Volvo cut 3,000 jobs globally in 2025 and withdrew its financial guidance for both 2025 and 2026. When a company pulls its own forecast, it is telling Wall Street that it does not know where the floor is. That is not confidence. That is an admission. Tariffs hammered Volvo the same way they hit every European importer. But Volvo had an additional problem. They bet hard on electrification at the exact moment the American EV market stalled. The EX30, a small electric crossover that was supposed to be Volvo's volume play, got caught in the tariff crossfire because it is built in China. Some configurations faced both the 25% auto tariff and additional duties on Chinese manufactured goods. A Volvo dealer in suburban Minneapolis watched his EX30 allocation sit on the lot while customers walked next door to look at the RAV4 hybrid. The customers liked the Volvo. They could not justify the premium when Toyota offered better range anxiety math and cheaper insurance. His finance manager told him that 2 out of every 3 Volvo customers who sat down to talk numbers ended up leaving without signing. The payments just did not work anymore. Volvo's strategy now is build where you sell, meaning they want to ramp up production in countries where they actually move units. That sounds smart until you realize that shifting manufacturing takes years, not quarters, and the bills are due now. The brand still has loyalists, safety-conscious families in college towns and northern suburbs who grew up seeing Volvo wagons in every school parking lot.
But loyalty does not survive a $10,000 tariff-driven price gap. People buy what they can afford, not what they grew up loving. And every price increase pushes another loyal family into a Subaru Outback or a Mazda CX-50. Call me harsh, but a brand that withdraws its own financial forecast is a brand that does not know if it will be profitable next year. And if they do not know, neither does the guy who just traded in his old XC60 thinking the new one would hold value the same way. Meanwhile, Volvo's parent company, Geely, is also dealing with the fallout of Chinese manufacturing becoming a geopolitical liability in the American market. That is a problem that has no quick fix and gets worse with every trade headline. Pay attention to this next one, because everything you just heard about individual brands struggling, this final entry explains why so many of them are connected and why the fallout could be bigger than anyone is admitting.
Number 1, and this is the one that ties everything together. Because it is not about a single brand anymore. It is about a parent company that might kill several at once. In December of 2025, Stellantis CEO Antonio Filosa launched what internal sources described to Reuters as an emergency room review of all 14 brands in the Stellantis portfolio. 14 brands, all of them on the table. Filosa was assessing every single one for long-term viability. That is not a strategy session. That is a survival audit. Stellantis posted a $26.3 billion net loss for 2025. That is not a bad year. That is a catastrophe. U.S. market share reportedly fell from 12% to roughly 6% under Carlos Tavares, the former CEO who resigned in December 2024 after the pressure became unsustainable. 75 CDJR dealership transactions happened in 2024 alone, most at distressed valuations. Dealers were selling at any price just to escape. Industry analysts openly questioned whether Stellantis needs both Alfa Romeo and Maserati, with most giving Alfa the better odds, simply because its brand identity can stretch to lower price points. Fiat sold fewer cars in America in an entire year than some Toyota dealers sell in a month. Chrysler has one product, and nothing else on the horizon. Maserati's CEO will not confirm or deny sale rumors at his own earnings call. And the new Stellantis boss is measuring all 14 brands against one question. Are you worth keeping? Nobody has answered yet. The $13 billion investment plan Filosa announced focuses almost entirely on Jeep, Ram, Dodge, and Chrysler. If you are paying attention, that tells you exactly where the money is going and where it is not going. Meanwhile, Carvana, the online used car company that nearly went bankrupt itself, started buying up abandoned Stellantis dealership locations at bargain prices. Think about what that means. An online used car company is picking up franchised new car stores because traditional dealers cannot afford to keep them open. That is not consolidation. That is a fire sale of an entire retail channel. A new CEO showed up at the 2026 NADA show in Las Vegas, promising an 8% market share recovery and swearing that none of the brands would be shut down. But for the dealers who already closed, who already lost their life savings, who already watched decades-old family businesses get sold for pennies on the dollar, those promises are just words from a new face standing behind the same podium. So what does all of this actually mean for you? Here is the answer the title promised. When a brand retreats from America, the cars do not get worse overnight. But the market decides the brand's future is not worth betting on, and every owner pays the price in resale value whether they wanted to or not. That is exactly what happened to every Holden owner in Australia when GM pulled the brand in 2020. Trade-in offers dropped within days. The used market repriced itself before most owners even realized the announcement had been made. Now multiply that across 11 brands on this list. If you own a vehicle from any of them, get a trade-in appraisal today. Write the number down. Come back in 6 months and get another one. If the gap between those two numbers is larger than normal depreciation for your vehicle's age, the market is telling you something specific. That is not general aging. That is the market pricing in the uncertainty around your brand's future.
And that gap is your signal to move before the next headline drops and the number gets worse. Which of these 11 brands shocked you the most? Drop a comment telling me which one you think disappears from America first. And if this breakdown opened your eyes to something you had not thought about before, hit that subscribe button so you catch the next one before the dealers change the stickers.